Why in the world would anybody want to shoot an arrow without fletchings on it?
I went over a decade without shooting my bow, so when I came back to archery, naturally I turned to YouTube to teach me a few things. These days I try to get out and shoot as much as possible, and I figure I might as well turn on my camera while I'm there. Maybe while I'm tinkering with stuff, someone else will pick up something that'll help them out.
I go through a process called bend testing my arrows. That's how I initially get my arrows aligned, and I tune my bow so that it will shoot this bear shaft through paper and shoot a clean bullet hole. After that, I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to shoot it on a target and just see how these arrows land compared to each other. Now, in most cases, this isn't perfect. This only gives you a little snapshot of what you're going to see on paper. But if you take these two arrows and go shoot them on target, and you've got this one straight and this one sitting in here sideways or this way or kicked up or kicked down, it gives you a chance to make some small adjustments. You know it's close, especially if you've done this already. You know it's close, so you need to make some very small adjustments. So let's take these two arrows, go outside, and shoot them on the target. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot a fletched shaft. We're going to put it down here on target and just see how it lands, and then we're going to shoot a bear shaft side by side and just see what they look like. Now this is the same shaft I used during my previous video. You can see our great big mark on there. So that's what I'm using to check this against my fletched arrows, because the fletchings are correcting the arrow by this point, right? Got my target set up at 20 yards. So by 20 yards, the fletchings have corrected the flight path. So you don't really get to see some of the mistakes that might be there. Where if you'll shoot something without fletchings, you can see what's going on. Let's go see what those look like. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to shoot our bear shaft with our fletch shaft side by side at the same spot, so we can see what they're doing. And we want to see what this shaft is doing in relation to that one. Now the reality of it is we want this bear shaft to land perfectly square with our fletched shaft. So we can see this one's definitely kicked a little left. So just like broadhead tuning, we're going to adjust the rest ever so slightly, and we're going to adjust it towards the bear shaft. So we're going to go back to my bow, and we are going to move the rest just a hair left. And I mean just a hair. Or the other option is we can use the set technology, and this is really where set comes in, is making these really fine adjustments. So let's just go see, and we'll decide which one we're going to use. So that arrow was sitting in the target, point left, tail right. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my set technology. I'm going to break this loose up here, and I'm going to make an adjustment where it says tail to the right, because that's what we need, or the tail is to the right. So we need to adjust this just a little bit. And I'm going to go like a quarter turn, top and bottom. And just kind of see where that puts us. So let's shoot this again. I'm going to make sure I'm shooting the same one. I was shooting arrow number 1. I'm going to take the same bear shaft and the same orientation. Don't turn it upside down. That'll mess you up. Alright. Now when you're doing this, you got to be honest with yourself. If you make a bad shot, admit that you made a bad shot. But, and maybe you got to take a couple shots to confirm. As we can see, that's looking way better. Like, they're not perfect, but boy, they're close. Look at that. They're both landing almost parallel to each other. That, to me, is good. I'm set. I'm done messing with it. I'm leaving it alone for now. That's as much tuning as I'm going to do on my bow until I get a chance to shoot it some more. Stretch it out, and maybe once I start shooting it out at distance, if I see something that's off, maybe I might make some small corrections. But in reality, I went from paper tuning to bear shaft tuned with Well, I showed you 4 shots. I took a couple extras to confirm. But in reality, that happened really quick. It took me all of 5-10 minutes. It took more time to move the cameras than it did to actually get the bow tuned. So, it's easy. Don't overthink it. So to follow up, I finally stepped out here and shot a little bit. Worked it back out because I know my sight tape's different. That's my first group at 50. Yeah, that's this process works. It's easy. It's simple. You know, I'm not that good of an archer. I'm just learning. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out. And I can do 50 yards after messing with my bow like that. It just works. So what do you think? Shooting bear shafts through paper. I think it makes the job easier. Go watch my other video where I talk about how I do the bend test and I make this process quick, which makes that process outside really easy. Well, thank you for sticking with it to the end. I greatly appreciate it. Here's a couple other videos for you might be interested in. I'm on my way to that magic 1,000 subscriber mark. I'd greatly appreciate if you'd hit subscribe and follow along for more videos.